after discussing the early theories of motivation, students, we are going to discuss the contemporary theories of motivation. There are a number of contemporary theories of motivation, specifically three needs theory, goal setting theory, reinforcement theory, designing motivating jobs, equity theory, and expectancy theory. We quickly have a look at these theories one by one in a cursory way. First of all, three needs theory. Students, in the contemporary theories of motivation, three needs theory is considered as an important theory of motivation. There are three major acquired, not innate needs that are major motives in work. These are very important, very easy understandable also. That is the need for achievement, need for power, and also need for achievement, need for affiliation. When it comes to need for achievement, it is about the drive to excel and to achieve in relation to set standards and strive to succeed in life, in business world. Second one is the need for power. Here we talk about the need to influence the behavior of others. Lastly, the desire for interpersonal relationship as the need of affiliation. Look at this pictorial presentation, pictorial example of the three needs theory. You can see N, need for achievement, and H, and POW, and AFF. See, first one is indicated by someone in the story wanting to perform or do something better. Second one is indicated by someone in the story wanting to be someone else and enjoy mutual friendship. And third one, power. It is indicated by someone in the story desiring to have an impact or make an impression on others in the story. Students, now after discussing the three needs theory of motivation with the help of this pictorial reference also, we are going to now look at the other contemporary theories of motivation which are equally important. Here comes the goal setting theory. Students, what is goal setting theory? Here we should understand that the proposition that specific goals increase in performance and the difficult jobs when accepted in higher performance than to easy goals. This is goal setting theory. Learn it more in details. There are benefits of participation in goal setting. The goal setting increases the acceptance of goals. It fosters the commitment, level of commitment to difficult public goals. And lastly, it provides for self-feedback, which you can say is the internal locus of control, which guides behavior and motivates performance, that is a self-efficacy. So this way, the goal setting is going to be very important part of the contemporary theories of motivation. You can see, students, here, this picture. What you see in this picture has very clearly explained you the goal setting theory. Goals are basically public. Individuals have internal locus of control and self-set goals. We have here self-efficacy, originating from the motivation or intention to work towards goals. What we have? We have self-efficacy, self-generated feedback on progress, higher performance plus goal achievement. At the same time, we look at the national culture. We find participation in setting. We find specific goals with a specific difficulty. Then you can say that it is a kind of process of motivation by means of which we find that who is committed and who is not committed. Then comes the reinforcement theory. The reinforcement theory assumes that a desired behavior is a function of its consequences. It is extremely caused and is reinforced, is like to be repeated in future. Here, what we should not forget is the rewards, which are most effective. If they immediately follow a desired behavior, and the behavior that is not rewarded or is punished is less likely to be repeated in business world. Students, the next thing is also again going to be important for us, which consists of job design. We have already thrown some light on job design in our previous discussion, but even then, as a reference here, since we are discussing the contemporary theories of motivation, we find job design here, that is the way tasks are combined to form complete jobs. Some ways that managers can design motivating jobs. Already mentioned about the job enlargement and job enrichment. You have seen that the job enlargement is the horizontal expansion of a job by increasing the job scope. Job enrichment is the vertical expansion of a job by adding planning and evaluating responsibilities. Here, students, one thing that is not to be forgotten is the job characteristics model, popularly called as JCM. A conceptual framework for designing a motivating job and that creates meaningful work experiences that satisfy employees' growth needs is the job characteristic model. There are, students, 5 primary job characteristics which we should not forget. These consist of skill variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback. Now let me tell you what is skill variety. It's a simple question. Here we will mean it about the how many skills and talents are needed in the organization. Apart from this, task identity means that it does the job reproduce at a completed work. Then task significance is about how important is the job. And autonomy means how independence do to the job holders have. And lastly, feedback. Do workers know how well they are doing is also a part of the job characteristic model, JCM. In the job characteristics model, students, we find here the strength of employees' growth needs. We find here is the core job dimensions. We find the critical psychological states. Well, students, after the reinforcement theories, we are now looking at the designing motivating jobs as another contemporary theories of motivation. Here, we are particularly focusing on the job design. In our previous sessions, we already talked about the job design. We have talked about the job enlargement and job enrichment. But as a part of the contemporary theories of motivation, we find that job design is the way tasks are combined to form complete job. Some ways that managers can design motivating jobs. 2 things are very important to understand here. One is the job enlargement, another one is the job enrichment. Job enlargement, students, is the horizontal expansion of a job by increasing job scope. On the contrary, the vertical expansion of a job by adding planning and evaluating responsibilities is the job enrichment. It has already been discussed at length in our previous discussion, so we are avoiding the detailed discussion over here. Students, now a very important thing which needs to be discussed here regarding designing the motivating jobs is the job characteristics model, which is popularly called as JCM, a conceptual framework for designing motivating jobs that create meaningful work experiences that satisfy employees' growth needs is very important. There are five primary job characteristics that we should look at it. These five primary job characteristics, which are considered very important, consist of skill variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback. Regarding the skill variety, I want to tell you that it is about how many skills and talents are needed in organization. When it comes to task identity, we just want to know how does the job is produced in organization. About the task significance, we can say that how important is the job. How independent is the job to job holders is discussed under the head autonomy. And feedback, as known by all, is how to do the work. How do workers know how well they are doing? This is important point to take into consideration for the purpose of designing motivating jobs. Students, now one more thing is there that I want to add to your knowledge about the job characteristics model, JCM, that it is about the strength of employees' growth needs. You can find three boxes here. One is about the core job dimensions, another one is about the critical psychological states, and third one is about the personal and work outcomes. To look at core job dimensions, we find here that there is skill variety, task identity, and task significance, where we find this autonomy and feedback. These are three important aspects, important parts. In the critical psychological states, we find that there is experience meaningfulness of work, experience responsibility for outcomes of the work, and also knowledge of the actual results of the work activities. After this, students, personal and work outcomes is the other important component that needs discussion here, where we can see that there is high internal work motivation, which is followed by high quality work performance. This high quality work performance is followed by high satisfaction of work, and finally low absenteeism and turnover, which simply means that employees are not leaving this organization to take up jobs in another organization on the one hand, and they are absenting from the work. This is a very important consideration, and here we can think about the strength of employees' growth needs in the light of the job characteristics model. Students, now there are a few guidelines for the job redesign. There are some suggested actions and there are some core job dimensions. Let us see one by one what are the suggested actions. These suggested actions consist of combined tasks. The combined tasks are about the skill variety and the task identity. Apart from this, it is about forming the natural work units. This natural work unit is about the task identity and task significance. When we talk about the establishing the client relationship, we find that it is about the skill variety, it is about the feedback. Apart from this, when we talk about the load vertically, we find it is about the autonomy. And lastly, open feedback channels means feedback. So you have seen here the suggested actions as well as the core job dimensions for job redesign. Students, there are a few suggestions for using the JCM. JCM, already I have told you, is the job characteristics model. The suggestions which are coming forward consist of that they should combine tasks, that is the job engagement, that is job enlargement, to create more meaningful work. This is one of the basic suggestions for using the JCM. One should think about creating the natural work units to make employees work important and whole. And we should talk about establishing external and internal client relationship to provide feedback in the organization. Expansion of jobs vertically, that is the job enrichment, should be done by giving employees more autonomy. And they should be, in order to ensure that things are going in right direction or not, what we require is the open feedback. Open feedback channels are to be taken into consideration to let employees know how well they are doing in the organization. Students, now after discussing this important theory of motivation, that is the designing motivating job, now we look at the equity theory. I will quickly throw some light on equity theory. The theory that an employee compares his or her job input outcomes ratio with that of others and then makes some corrections and then corrects any inequality if it is there is called equity theory. What we see here, if the ratios are perceived as equal, then a state of equity fairness exists. Again, if the ratios that are perceived as equal, then a state of equity, that is fairness, exists in the organization. On the other hand, if the ratios are perceived as unequal, inequity exists and the person feels under or over rewarded in such kind of organizations. When inequities occur in organization, employees will attempt to do something to rebalance the ratio. That is, they want to seek justice. Students, if an employee pursues any inequity he might in his work, any inequity he might will distort his own or others' ratios. It will induce others to change their own outputs and or outcomes. It will change own input. That means that there will be increase or decrease in efforts or outcomes, which will seek greater rewards. Also here, finally, they have to choose a different comparison. That is a referent one. Other persons, systems, or self. And lastly, they quit their job. Employees are concerned with both the absolute and relative nature of organizational rewards of being provided in the organization. You can look at this equity theory with the help of these calculations, where you find that there is a perceived ratio comparison and employees' assessment. When it is outcomes A divided by inputs A, when it is greater than outcomes B divided by input B, which simply means inequity. It means it is under rewarded. Second part, where we find that employees' assessment may turn into equity, it will be a situation in which outcomes A divided by inputs A are equal to outcomes B divided by inputs B. Simple to understand. And last important thing, that is inequity, which is over rewarded, is a situation in which outcomes A divided by input A is lesser than outcome B and input B. So person A is the employee and person B is a relevant other or referent person. Students, what we notice here is the distributive justice and procedural justice. The information, the idea about this inequity theory will not be complete unless we talk about the distributive and the procedural justice. The distributive justice influences an employee's satisfaction level, and procedural justice affects an employee's organizational commitment. In case of the distributive justice, the perceived fairness of the amount and the allocation of rewards among individuals, that is, who received what, this is done. In case of procedural justice, students, what we see that the perceived fairness of the process used to determine the distribution of the rewards, that is how, who received what. So it means that we think about the effect that an employee has on his organizational commitment level. Another important theory, students, which needs focus here is the expectancy theory. The expectancy theory states that an individual tends to act in a certain way which is based on the expectation that the act will be followed by a given outcome and on the attractiveness of that outcome to the individual. See how simply this expectancy theory has been explained here. One more thing I want to add here regarding the expectancy theory is that it is the key to the theory. The key to the theory is understanding and managing employees' goals and the linkage among and between efforts, performance, and rewards. Students, three things are coming out of this discussion. These are the effort, performance, and rewards. What is meant by the effort? Employees' abilities and training development is covered under the segment of effort. Performance is about valid appraisal system. Rewards are about the understanding the employee's needs. You can look here at the simplified expectancy model where we find three things A, B, and C. Where A stands for effort performance linkage, B stands for performance reward linkage, and C stands for attractiveness of rewards. Students, individual efforts followed by individual performance, followed by organizational rewards, and finally individual goals. So this is the simplified expectancy model which is explaining very clearly about the basic genesis of the expectancy theory. Students, the expectancy relationships needs some more discussion about the efforts and performance linkage, which may be discussed in the light of its expectancy. We should think about the perceived probability that an individual's efforts will result in a certain level of performance. Also, the degree to which the individuals believe that performance at a particular level is instrumental in attaining the desired outcome is the instrumentality. And last thing, is the valence. The attractiveness or importance of the performance reward, that is outcome to the individual, is considered as valence. Students, we can think about the integration of the contemporary theories of motivation, where we find a number of things are there. We find here a number of issues relating to the ability, job design, performance evaluation criteria, equity comparison, job design, dominant needs, reinforcement, objective performance evaluation system, and also individual efforts, individual performance, organizational rewards, and individual rewards. So this way, we have tried to explain the contemporary theories of motivation. Students, after discussing the different types of theories of motivation, now in the next session, we will talk about the current issues in motivation. Motivation is something which is having a lot of requirement for the overall development of the organization. But with the passage of time, with industrialization, the knowledge, skills, and abilities of individuals are changing. We will see in this session the current issues in motivation.